I see what you mean. You said about StreamYard doing things.
Is happening.
What was that, Tom? Sorry?
That's fine, mate. I'm guessing my microphone wasn't working. I was just going to say, I see what you mean about StreamYard not doing things properly. So last week it sped the intro up. This week it seems to have slowed it down.
Honestly, a mind of its own.
It's got a mind of its own. Like us three. How are we all doing? Another Thursday. Killer Comics Thursday.
What is it, Charlie? Say that again.
Killer Comics Thursday. Why not?
Oh, I can't wait for that to be on Spotify, I tell you.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see how this Spotify thing pans out, to be fair. Because I listened to last week's show about 3 times because I actually found I found it interesting because I can see where people are coming from, saying that if they haven't got time to watch it, they'll listen to it. And I found it quite an easy listening, if I'm honest, because even though like a lot of our what is this stream elements bot is running? Okay, fair enough. Even though a lot of our show is obviously visual, we do talk a lot of sense, and it was quite enjoyable. I don't know if any of you listened to it.
I did listen to it back, and I did enjoy our dulcet tones. It was rather wonderful.
Sense?
What's that?
Is that a thing? Talking sense? Is that a thing? Do we do that?
Not very often for me anyway.
Not very often, but we do get it going. How's everyone doing? Oh, good? All good?
Shocking. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Shocking?
Shocking.
I'm doing amazingly well. I'm loving life at the moment.
I am glad you're living life. Tom, what about you? How are you? How's things in your world?
I'm all good, mate. Cannot complain, I don't think. I'd like to, but I won't.
That's fine. Screw you both. I'm having a shocking week. Thanks for asking. Let's look at some pickups. Charlie, do you have any pickups?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm just going to shout out to a few people in the chat. We've got Mr.
I never mind the chat. I just want to see your pickups. I don't care about the chat. I'm not joking. I'm joking, chat. I'm joking. The 6 people are watching. I'm joking.
We've got Mr. James Copley. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining in on another fantastic fun-filled Thursday. We've got Leon Russell. Welcome. We have the one and only Phil. All right, lads, what's happening? Thank you very much. We've got Stream Elements bot. Nice one, mate. Thanks for jumping in. Nice. And we've got Connie Dalton. What up, nerds? All good here, darling. All good here. So, who's got any pickups, or is it just me this week?
Zero. I have nothing.
I've got Uno.
Go on, Tom. Go on, mate.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay, croquet. So I had an AOK in the post this week from a lovely Scots person that I know. The name slips me completely. But thank you, Andy, for sending over Street Sharks issue 1 by the Archie Comics.
You're very welcome, my friend. Glad it arrived safely. Enjoy.
It's lovely, mate. I mean, I really appreciate it. And it's really going to link into what we've got to talk on the topic table a bit later on. So I'm really happy with that. I mean, thank you very much for that, mate. Like I said last week, I'm trying to collect any old school cartoon issue 1s or like anything I really enjoyed as a kid, like issue 1s. They don't really mean anything like value wise, but they mean something to me. And it's quite
nostalgia.
Nice to have in your collection.
Good old nostalgia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I ever decide to have children, it's that kind of thing where I can read the first issue and then explain the TV show to them.
You believe I got this from Uncle Andy. Oh,
yeah, I got this from Uncle Andy. He's lovely.
Talking about Uncle Andy's and stuff like that, we've just been told off by Mark Oldwood. He says, typical blokes. Andy says he's had a shocking week and no one asks why.
Well, we did.
Why?
I'm asking him why.
So
thank you,
Andrew.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate. No, don't second thought me just because Mark's told you off. You're quite right, Mark. Nobody asked me why, but thank you for caring, Mark. I appreciate you, brother.
You've just made us look like right arseholes.
It wasn't hard.
True. That is true. I mean, underneath this hat, I have got the word arsehole written on my forehead.
We've just had it confirmed why Andy is in a bad mood, and it is because of the postal strikes.
You got it, Leon. I mean, there's a reason why I don't have any pickups today. But power to the people, and I very much support the strikes.
Big up the postal service. But look, it is another Thursday.
Big up the Royal Mail.
We're here to do what we do. No one's got any pickups, so I'm just going to jump straight in. So these are the purchases from the Hobgoblins Vot. This was last week.
Nice.
That is a strategically placed baton.
That is a strategic. It's his baton. This is obviously Mr. Warren Lowe. Loving this. And then I got my first ever Peach Momoko.
There's always one.
There's always one. But yeah, got that. And then I kind of went old school. Now, do you remember the TV show Heroes?
Yes.
I remember. I loved it.
So I went on like a little eBay splurge. Well, I say that I got both of them for like 12 quid. This one.
Nice.
Issue number 1. Of that. And volume number 2 as well. Really looking forward to jumping back into these again because they were bloody awesome. And then, last week I had a decent charity shop find with, I think it was Naomi, the trade paperback.
Yeah.
Went back there. 80p I spent, and I got Beano.
Oh, mate, love it.
Nice.
2013 annual.
Tell me this. Does it smell like a library?
Yes, it smells like old school library. Then I got
I was
the
waiting for him to say something completely different. Then it smells like old.
It's like
your library.
It's like your granny's front room.
It's like your granny's front room.
There we go. As long as it's the front room and not the back room. We've got the Dandy, 2017. Another little annual there.
How can he say that sentence and then say the Dandy? That's just wrong.
Not fine and dandy.
It's all fine and dandy. All fine and dandy. Then we've got the Dandy annual 2019.
These are all for 80p.
No, 20p each.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. So it all was for 80p. Yeah, like cool. Yeah.
And then number 2020. And
Nice.
these are awesome. And that was my pickups this week, boys. That was it. I'm waiting for some from the Hobgoblins Hideaway, but obviously the postal service is on strike again, so I will probably receive them in the post tomorrow.
Pick up the Royal Mail.
But
Dude,
yeah,
I love these charity shop finds. That this might be a new Killer Comic segment.
mate, we should. Yeah, we should.
Charity shop.
Why not? Why not?
Nice. Enjoy your
should do.
pickups.
I would enjoy my pickups. I'm kind of hoping my little boy gets into it, like reading comics. He's already started reading Naomi, so I'm going to try and hope he gets what's this charity shop? Narnia. No, it's not Narnia. We'll get the Dandy or the Beano.
It's in London, isn't it?
It's in London. There we go. So yeah, the chat is buzzing. What should we do now? I know what we normally do at this point in time. We normally jump into the business end of the stuff, don't we? So let's jump straight into a sexy little segue that Mr. Malin put together a few months ago. There we go. So this is killer covers for October the 18th, which was New Comic Book Day yesterday. Up first, there we go. We've got me. I've gone for Catwoman issue number 48, and I've gone for the Souza Micah variant cover. This is, I didn't really think I liked watercolor art and stuff like that, but this is pretty sensational, to be fair.
I have one question, Charlie.
Yes.
When is she finishing it?
Oh, burn!
What do you mean, when is she finishing it? What's wrong with that?
Wow.
I'm listen.
That's
right
it.
off the
Sack
bat.
that, man. He's got no appreciation for art.
I'm just asking. Like, did she run out of black ink? I mean,
I'm not sure. I think it's just what they do these days, isn't it? Really? But
I have to be honest. This segment, this bit here, has got very, very, very competitive.
Gloves are off.
The
Like
gloves
gloves are off.
Are you two drawing at the moment to kind of got like the person that gets the most covers at the end of the year? Because I actually thought Charlie had already won that.
No,
I think Charlie's one ahead as of last week's.
yeah.
So it is game on between you two. Oh, I'm just
Shocking
going to sit
decision.
back and enjoy.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
But yeah, so I've gone for the Catwoman issue number 48, the Sozo Micah variant cover. I just think this is something different. And it's something different that I would normally go for. It's not a Harley Quinn cover. It's not a Batman cover. It's not a Rose Besh cover. It's just Sozo Micah cover, and that's what
it's
I've gone
not
for.
something different. It's Sozo Micah doing another Catwoman cover. That's what it is.
But for me, it's something different because I've never done a Sozo Micah Catwoman cover before.
And you've not done a finished one either.
No, nor a Sozo Micah, but oh well.
I love this segment. It's great.
Right, up next, we've got Tom.
It's me. So I've gone for Christian Ward. He's done the variant cover for DC and Vampires All Out War issue 4. This is cover B, and it's on card stock. The reason I chose this is because it's a really cool depiction of Batwoman, as in, is it Kate Kane? She's the Batwoman in this one.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool depiction of her, and using the really limited palette of tones and colors, like dark blues, your black, and your red, really does kind of depict that demonic kind of character that she's being portrayed on the front of this cover with the like Maleficent style horns. What I really like about this is the fact that it's very dark, and then you've got that amazing splash of red, but the red kind of blood splatters from her lips that are running down her hands kind of makes you kind of see straight past the fact that she's no longer human. So that blurred line of like that red is kind of showing that kind of blurred line from her costume into blood in her face. It's kind of that idea like she is no longer a hero, and it's kind of that blurred line between the two. I really love it for that.
Do you know what? I'm actually really surprised that you went for this cover because there's a fantastic Dan Mora cover out this week.
I seen it, mate. Yeah,
and I was like, has Tom seen that or hasn't he? And I thought when you sent this through, I was like, I was almost as shocked as when Andy said he didn't have no pickups this week. Is there a reason why you didn't go for that cover?
Because of this, mate. Literally, I saw it and I thought it kind of sells it, like the cover itself sells the book to me. And I thought that's kind of what the killer covers are a little bit about. Like they are about what we like and all the artists and stuff we like. But when you see a cover, you're like, oh, I might just pick this up because I would quite like to see how demonic and kind of like badass Batwoman could get if she became a vampire. And I don't know, I've not been reading the story, so I don't know for a fact if she is become a vampire or whether this is actually linked in the story. But this kind of, for once in a while, you get a comic cover that actually tells you what's happening in the story. Yeah. So I liked it for that because like you see some of these covers and you think actually that's got nothing to do with what's going on in the book. I mean, it's not even the character that's in the book. Like I think a couple of weeks ago we looked at one and it was Psylocke on the front of a Wolverine comic and she doesn't even feature in it. And it's like, oh, all right, okay, that makes perfect sense. Let's stick Psylocke on a comic she's never been in. But yeah, no, I picked it for that reason. I did see the Dan Mora one and I was tempted, but like I said, this has made me want to pick up and read DC Vampires.
It's an awesome read. Awesome read.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it before. Actually, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, and you said how much you liked it. So
yeah, it's wicked. It's really, really good. Cool. So this is cover B by Kristen Wolverine, and then we've got who have we got next? Oh, it's not here. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Oh, it's here. It's here. This is Batman One Bad Day, the Penguin issue number 1, and this is the 1 in 100 Brian Boland variant cover. Brian Boland doesn't do a huge amount of comic covers, but when he does, you know it's Brian Boland, probably more famously for his 2000 AD artwork. I instantly I thought this was an absolute banger. I'd love to pick it up, but I probably won't be able to because it's a 1 in 100. A few things that the perspective of the Penguin and the way that it's drawn, the detail on the chair, I think is fantastic. Smoke that's emanating from his cigarette.
He's a Batman. Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's just those little details that I think are absolutely superb. So besides it being a 1 in 100, this I think is an absolute killer cover and one that hopefully I'll get at some point in the collection.
It would. I think it would, for a 1 in 100. I think it would have been better without like the whole spiel of Batman, one day, bad day, blah 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 blah. I think that would have just looked really nice without that.
Mm.
Yeah, but then would you just buy it as an art piece? I mean, if you're going to get it as a 1 in 100 book, you kind of want to know what book it is. Do you get my drift? Because otherwise, you're buying a Virgin cover you could just print off the internet.
That's true. Yeah, no, 100%. I think to be fair, it doesn't really take away from the cover for me. I think the artwork does what it needs to do. And I think there's a really good question here by Phil, who's asked, why does the Brawley have a willy?
Yes, it does. I was just literally just looking at that.
Yeah.
I was looking at that.
Yeah, I can't unsee that now, Phil. So thanks for that. But no, this is my killer cover.
Three good covers this week. Mine's unfinished, so hopefully within the next couple of weeks I can show you the new finished one.
You know what? I don't know much about Scumex. How do you say his name? Moscalera.
Sosa
Micah. I don't know much about his artwork, but I really like this because it reminds me a little bit of
she's a female.
Her then.
Yeah.
Very much of like David Mack's stuff that I like, the watercolor stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's really clever, and I do like it when they don't finish it because it gives you a chance to kind of fill in the gaps yourself. And I really like the way she's done her signature.
Mm-hmm.
The signature's cool.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you.
You're welcome, mate.
Thank you so much. This one, we've got DC vs. Vampires, All Out War, issue number 4, cover B by Christian Ward. And then we have Batman One Bad Day, the Mr. Penguin, issue number 1 in 100. As usual, the votes are now live over on YouTube, so place your votes strategically. If you are a bot, just place your votes. Keep placing the votes. Just place your votes.
Place your bets now.
Place your bets now. So yes, chat is buzzing. Let's get into it. We are reviewing week number 41, which was last week, and the winner of the YouTube poll was Do A Powerbomb issue number 5 and Star Wars Visions issue number 1. Up first was Do A Powerbomb issue number 5, main cover by Daniel Warren Johnson. Cover B is a Cannon and Spicer variant cover. Hold on, what's going on there? Cannon and Spicer variant cover, and it is written and the internal art is by Daniel Warren Johnson. This came out last week. Which one of you lovely gentlemen would like to take it away?
Andy, do you want to take it away this time round? I think I started last week.
Sure. Do A Powerbomb issue number 5. Sure, no problem.
Sure.
Do A Powerbomb issue number 5. I think it's one of the list of comics that we've read every single issue. I think every single issue we have enjoyed thus far. And this one has really, really surprised me. Not like I was an old school wrestling fan, probably up to like Steve Austin era, The Rock and all those guys. And then I just stopped watching it. But I think I said even after issue 1 and 2 that you really don't need to be a wrestling fan or know anything about wrestling to enjoy this book, because it's more than a wrestling book.
Amen to that, brother.
100%. But it does wrestling really well. Like it hits the wrestling note perfectly. I think in issue number 5, it's following the same trend that we've seen in previous issues, where they're matched up as part of this tournament, and at the end you get to bring somebody back to life. And in this one, this was probably the most brutal, gruesome, no holds barred, pinfalls anywhere. And I think Warren Johnson absolutely nailed it. Pardon the pun. The depiction, the story, the sounds that were emanating from the crowd and stuff like that, and the way that they done the sort of lettering on it was just absolutely fantastic. Whenever I'd finished reading it, I was kind of I almost felt as if I had been in the wrestling match. I felt like tired after it. I was exhausted after it, because you were so involved and you were so in the middle of the story. And the beauty of this book is that there's always a little twist at the end that makes you stop in your tracks and think, well, wait a minute, how's this going to go? And that's the secret sauce for these books, is that it makes you go and buy the next issue. and you can't wait for the next issue. I can't see this being done in one volume. I think is this a 6-issue run? I could have made that
Seven.
up. I think
Seven.
Yeah.
The final issue is out on the 7th of December, and the next is on the 14th of November, I think.
I don't know how they're going to close it off in 7 issues if they keep making these little twists and U-turns at the end of the book. I think that what they are going to do is set this up lovely for a second arc.
I completely agree with you, mate. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. It is going to end on such a cliffhanger that they're not going to not want to do a second series, I don't think.
It almost feels as if I'd be interested to find this out, maybe even if we put them up on Twitter or whatever, Instagram, and ask the question, was this finished before they started releasing it? Because I'm just wondering if they maybe had done up to like issue 4 or 5, and then they were going to see how it sells, and then as soon as they've seen the sales figures for this, they've then, right, okay, we're going to go this way, and that way takes us to a second arc. Could be completely wrong, but for me, this was an absolute stunning issue, and I would highly recommend for anybody to pick it up. It's probably my top books this year, I would say.
Well, Phil's just said, is there a better book this year? I don't think there is. I honestly don't think there is. I think the way that is the art, the story, the emotion, everything that's involved in this comic, just there's so many twists and turns in it. And when you think you've just read to the final page and you're just flipping it over, then you find something else like happened in this issue. Tom, you're talking about like it's going to end on a big cliffhanger. For me, the cliffhanger that was highly anticipated happened in this issue. It happened in such a way that you was like, shit. Like, wow, how is this going to end? And like, there's half of me that was like, yeah, it's been revealed, right? They're still going to win the match. It didn't happen. And again, that was another twist. And it was like, oh my God, like they've actually done that. They've just broke down the wall, and they give you a cliffhanger. They give you certain aspects away. You still think the story's going to go the way that you think it should. And then it doesn't. And I thought the way that this comic started, it kind of started at the end of this issue, and it was kind of gone back to what's happened in between it and how we've got to where they are at the beginning of the issue, and we find out by the end of the issue where we got to. I think that was pretty cool how Daniel kind of reversed it, and you see the outcome of the match before you'd even read the pages of what the match was about.
Can you see this going to a second? Like, if this does go to a second arc, do you think it'll get to the point where it'll be so watered down and it'll just be another match after another match after another match? A little bit of me prefers that this just ends after issue 7.
Exactly what I was going to say. I really hope they leave it on a cliffhanger, so you yourself, as a viewer and reader, can go away and fill in the gaps yourself. I would hate them to. I think a second series would be cool, but like you said, would it be a second series of watered down? And what's been lovely about this series is, each book has been a completely new matchup. Issue 1 was the matchup between the mom and the dad and how it all started. Issue 2 was about the first match they had in the underworld. Issue 3 was their big match in the next one, and it continued on like that, and it's going to continue on like that. But how long can you keep that going before it gets a little bit, oh God, this is a bit boring now? But obviously I don't want that to happen. But I agree with you, Andy. I think if it can get to the end of the seventh issue and they leave us on a massive cliffhanger and then let us fill in the gaps ourselves, that would be amazing. Because if you think of it, at the crux of it, this story is essentially a father and daughter's story of them coming together and actually making a bond that they don't even have at the start of the book. Like, they don't even like each other at the start of the book, even when the mom's alive. So this is their story of them two kind of bonding together, if you like. So it's a mother and son, a daughter and father, son, mother and daughter. No, mother and son. No, what the fuck is wrong with me? A father and daughter story. Sorry, guys. A father and daughter story about them coming together and, building their relationship at the end of the day, which is really cool. And like trying to aim to get something at the end of it and bring back the mom from the dead. I mean, that's what they're aiming for. But then what I really like about it is the fact that each individual characters that they then come across are all after the same thing.
Yeah.
So it just shows you, like, no matter, I mean, these people that they're fighting in this book, you think are really evil, but you have to remember that people do things for a reason. And I think that's what's beautiful about this book is like, you might think they're evil, but to them, they're doing it for a good reason. Yeah. They want to bring their loved ones back. So I like that it's got that in there. And, that panel that I've picked, I think it's like 5 pages in, where he gives the guy the big boot. I actually read that bit and I felt that. Like I literally later was like, ow.
That was exactly the same. The same for the. I think I picked the second page, and you can see on the panel on the left hand side what's happening to him.
Yeah,
where he's just literally, it happens in every wrestling match. When they
low blow.
hitting the crotch and low blow, and I felt that. I was like, whoa, that was.
See,
Do you go on, Charlie? Sorry,
I was going to say, for me, for the pace that I picked, when the dad gets his mask ripped off, I literally instantly just went back to one of the greatest matches. Like I think it was Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, and it was like a luchador match in WWE. And I think Rey Mysterio got his mask pulled off, and Eddie Guerrero was just about to do like the frog splash off the top rope, and it all kind of and it's that panel there. That's kind of what it is, and it's just so close to the bone of like wrestling, and you don't have to be a wrestling fan, but you get so emotionally involved in it because you can kind of feel every page you turn over. You can kind of feel like the giant pows and the buffs and the kicks, and it's such an enjoyable comic. Like it really is.
Like each individual panel, like despite the fact, even if you're not a wrestling fan, I think if you're a fan of stories, this is for you, because each individual panel it feels like it's full of emotion and excitement and action. And it's not like going to win any massive awards for being like superbly written that's going to make you like shit yourself because it's horror, or like make you cry because it's emotional. But it's one of those books that I think it's powerful enough to grab the audience and keep the audience. And I think it's going to be well known for that. And I totally agree that I think it's the best book this year. I 100% think it's the best book this year.
Do you think they missed a trick on this book? Because as far as I'm aware, there's only like a cover A and a cover B.
Yeah,
I think there was so much opportunity to do, like, they could have like a belt book, belt cover book, so they could have all the different title belts, or even the different teams that we've seen. So I don't know if they'll maybe introduce that when they do the hardcover or stuff like that.
Do you know what they could have done? Yeah, you know what they could have done. You know, with the X-Men covers where they did like the connecting covers, they could have done like all the teams taking part in the wrestling tournament. They could have just done one of that, or a wraparound cover with the belt and stuff. That would have been pretty decent. But I think, do you think, obviously with the success, I think even though Daniel Warren Johnson done Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which for me is one of the best Wonder Woman stories I've ever read.
Agreed.
The way that kind of went under the radar. It was kind of a niche market. If you didn't really like his grittiness of the art and his writing style, then you wouldn't have paid attention to that. And where it was oversized, a lot of people don't like reading the oversized magazine comics. Where this is just a standard comic, do you think it kind of went under the radar and they didn't want to invest too much into it because they was like, do we do more than 2 covers, or do we not invest in it? Do you think that is something that could be put out second printing and for like the second arc, if there is going to be one?
Well, I suppose it depends, I guess. I mean, Daniel Warren Johnson, like you said, is only known for doing, as far as I know, he's only been known for doing Wonder Woman. So if that's his only title that people would know him for, you're not going to kind of bang him on a, do you know what I mean? You're not going to get behind him. And that's a shame, because this is an amazing book. And I think hopefully this will rocket launch him into stardom, if you like, and he'll get some more stuff. That's what I'd hope.
Agreed. Yeah, no, 100%. It's strange why it's kind of a not. It feels like anybody who's in that comic community knows about this book and is really enjoying that book, but it's definitely not got the same sort of fan service that the likes of Something's Killing the Children and books like that I've got. And I don't know why that is.
I think it needs that though. But then does it? Because what's going to happen? It's going to be like the Old Guard. Remember the Old Guard? They then turn into a movie.
Well, I think it will. But if this goes to a second arc, I think that will be bad for this book.
Yes,
I don't know if I want another 7 issues of this book.
But you know what?
100%. To say that I didn't enjoy it. Yeah.
And it's like little monsters. Little Monsters should have ended.
Yeah.
It should have ended. And now we're getting a second arc that it's not needed. You didn't need it. You kind of got the premise of the story. You got the overarching theme of the story. You got the emotion from it. Like it didn't need it. And again, this is like comics going into cash cow territory. Oh, we can just pump this out until it bleeds dry. Excuse the pun, right? But do you know what I mean? I think this. I can't. If this is already finished, I can't see how it's going to end without going into a second arc. But I hope it doesn't go into a second arc, because I think it's going to run its course.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Like I really hope it ends on a cliffhanger and it makes you want more. because then you'll just reread it and you'll really enjoy it forever. But I don't want it to have a second run. However,
for
I
the sake
kind
of
of
it.
do. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
I kind of do want to see where it goes, but
Yeah.
like you said, I'd hate them to turn it into a cash cow.
Mhm.
I mean, look at Something's Killing the Children. It is amazing. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, it is amazing. But in the last 12 months, it's not been what it was. And then the House of the Slaughter started well, and it's just kind of
Yeah. It's just
fizzled
rolling.
out.
It's
I mean, yeah.
just rolling with it now. But yeah. But I mean, that was an interesting start to the show. Like this comic is give us an in-depth conversation.
Killer.
Killer.
Killer chicken didn't want.
Devon, get the table. That's what.
Oh mate, the swanton off the through the table, that was quality.
But it was just like just the wrestling moves and the way like they said it and everything. The excitement of me reading it is something that I thought was quite powerful. This, like, I read it like as an enthusiastic wrestling fan. It's like, oh my god, she's going for the table, she's going for the barbed wire baseball bat, she's going for the swanton. Oh my god, like chokeslam. It was wicked. I really enjoyed it. So yeah,
it was like being back in the 90s.
It
amazing.
was. It really, really was. Up next, we've got Marvel Star Wars Visions, issue number 1, written and art by Takashi Okazaki. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to go with it. We've got the main cover by the Takashi Okazaki. We've got Peach Momoko variant A, also that comes in a Virgin variant B as well. We've got the Baccello variant cover, and we've got my winner from last week. We've got the Ricky Yagawa variant B. Andy, Tom, what did you think?
Well, do you want me to go, Andy?
Sure, go for it.
Cool. Well, I'm a huge fan of Japanese manga anyway. So when I heard that they were making this into a book after watching the Japanese anime of Star Wars Visions on Disney Plus, I was quite excited to what they were going to do. And they had taken 2 characters from that series and have made a little short out of it. Now, I'll be honest, most Japanese mangas, stories, normally read from right to left, not left to right.
Yeah.
So I actually opened this up and started reading it the opposite way. So the way I would read a manga. Mm-hmm. So at first, it didn't make any sense to me. I was a little bit like, I'm not, something's wrong here. So then I also had to reread the first couple of pages because I'd realized I was reading it backwards when I probably should have been reading it the Western way, if you like. The story basically follows a Sith, if you like, who doesn't really reveal himself as being a Sith Lord, and a Jedi and his robot, and they kind of meet up a little bit later on. They end up in a bathtub together. It's quite funny, but they talk. There's a lot of like lore in this, like talking about Jedis that have passed and armies and things. And I thought it was really clever as a kind of setting the scene of what Marvel could do with Marvel Vision, with Star Wars Visions. My favorite part about the whole thing was the lack of color, and just like they'd like drop in a splash of blue or a splash of purple or a splash of red. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal, and that's what Japanese manga kind of misses, if you like, because when it's black and white, you can kind of get a bit lost in what's going on because there's no differentiation between who's who or what's what. So it can get a bit much. But as the story kind of progresses, I thought it was a really good story. I'm not sure whether or not I would say it's like a highlight one shot of the year, because some of the story didn't quite make sense. And I thought it took a little while to get going, but the panel that Andy's picked, which I think is the middle panel that you've got, where he's talking about previous Sith Lords, and they're all behind him. And I think you were going to pick it as well, Charlie, as a panel. So like, it's a picture of him at the bottom. He's talking in this bathtub to the Jedi. They don't know that they're Jedi and Sith at this point. Well, I think they do, but they haven't said it. And he's talking like they've mentioned the Sith Lords, and they're all behind him in this kind of like collage. I think it's a beautiful piece of artwork. I personally would have picked that page if you two hadn't picked it before me. And then a little bit later on, there's this kind of bit where they're talking, and there's that kind of moment where do they or don't they have a fight? And then you kind of see them have a fight, and then it's like they know they didn't. They just passed ways. So it's really clever they did that, and I thought it was a really, really nice way that the book ended. But I thought it was really good, and I'd like to see if they're going to do anything more. I just kind of hope that they stick with that kind of Japanese manga-ish style, and don't try and westernize it too much, because this is technically a Western book, but written and drawn by a manga artist.
Yeah.
So anyway, what did you guys think? I've just wibbled on.
I pretty much agree with everything you said there, Tom. I think this book was visually stunning. This was an art piece. You could there could have been no words in this book. It reminded me of the same concept of One Dark Night, where you could have had no words and just sort of flick through the book and just taken in that beautiful artwork. The line work is superb. The panel work was fantastic. We could have picked any page from this book to show off what this book represented. And I think Takashi Okazaki absolutely nailed it on that one. I think it's fair to say, from a story perspective, that there wasn't much as a reader for me to invest in.
I think that's what I was trying to say. Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I'm not too sure if that was because this book was translated into English, and I'm just wondering if there was something lost in translation in this book, something that was maybe missed, because as a result of that lack of complexity in the story, I could have taken left this book, to be honest with you. It's one that I've picked up. I've got a physical copy, and it will go into my Star Wars box, because it's a work of art, because it's absolutely visually beautiful.
Yeah,
I think for me, taking it once, this was a one and done book as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know if it was a test piece or not. But all those characters in that second page, I just wanted to find out who they were, what they were about. I wanted a standalone book for each of these characters.
Yeah.
And I just wanted more of the artwork. For me, it was an absolute killer. Visually, story-wise, it wasn't up to much. I could have taken it or leaving it. I left it, but it was a Star Wars book, and I was always going to pick it up. So I'd love more of this, but I just don't know how long this would have taken Takashi to complete. If you asked him to do a 6-issue run, I would imagine that would take him years to do.
Well, you say that, right? So this is the thing. This is the massive difference between Western and Japanese artwork, right? So they bang this stuff out weekly, not monthly,
right?
Weekly.
That's mental.
So this would take a Western artist, like you said, probably a month or so to do, or whatever, to get it. 6 issues probably take 12 months. Whereas you look at something like One Piece that I've just recently started catching up with. That's been going for quite a few years. It's on just over 1,062 issues. So that's one every week since it started. Maybe give or two a week where he's had a break. But that's mad.
Wow. That's mental,
isn't it?
That's insane. And this for me is probably one of the only Star Wars comics I've read. Because I didn't know. We've had numerous conversations where it's where's the jumping point on? You've got Darth Vader, you've got Star Wars this, you've got Star Wars that. I kind of jumped into this because I picked it as the killer cover, and I was like, this looks pretty good. It looks like a Japanese ninja getting into this manga and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm going to give it a read. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I kind of do understand, Andy, what you're saying. The story was null and void. You could have just sat there and looked through the 32 pages of this fantastic art, and that would have been enough. And it's really the way that I've laid the pages out, obviously first, second, and third, this is the way that the comic runs. But looking at it now on the screen with these 3 pages together, you'd think this was a 3-page spread.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the artwork.
It's sensational. It is sensational, and he's done a fantastic job here. But I think a one shot is more than enough. I think the way that it ended was great.
My worry
having. Can you imagine having the artwork, the original artwork for that second page or any of the pages? But just to see the original without any of the grayscaling or color work or touch-up work, just to see the original.
Well, the only thing that will be missing off the original will be the color work, because they do the grayscaling.
Oh, as part of the OA?
Grayscaling, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's
assuming.
It's insane. It's absolutely incredible.
The character in the middle page, the third one in at the top, right, is racking my brains on who he There's a character that does it's a trap. What's his name? It's driving me mad.
The one that looks like a frog.
Yes. He's like, it's a trap.
What's his name? And it that does sound like him as well. What is it? He's like Colonel something.
Yeah, that's it. Not mustard.
We're going to call him Colonel Frogger.
Admiral Akbar. Yes.
Admiral. Right. So I'm saying Colonel, and it's totally not that. It's Admiral Akbar.
But because you said Colonel, it reminded me.
I was looking at the wrong character. I was looking at the one next to it and going, I have no idea what he's talking about.
I thought that it's a trap would give it away.
I thought you were having a moment, Tom.
I still think Colonel Frogger's better than
Colonel Frog. Yeah, let's go for Colonel Froggers.
Colonel Frogger. I think that's great. But yeah, no, I think like the essence and the addition
Tom,
of
do it again.
It's a trap. Oh, that didn't really work. I'm smiling.
Oh, I sorry if you're wearing earphones and you're listening on Spotify or iTunes. You're welcome.
Yeah. If you would like to see a 34-year-old man try and look like a Colonel Frog, please log into our YouTube and check out on the rewind.
Don't do it. It's our trap.
But yeah, the addition of the color pops in this, I think, really make it work. But I think it's fantastic. Like, it's the story's all right. It's great. Like, it was a bit creepy where he's like, "Oh, do you want a massage?"
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
I'll give you a massage, and I'm like, "Hold on a minute." Like, he's literally just sitting there drinking his yaki or whatever it is. It's like
my biggest worry about this, though, is this is Marvel dipping their toe into a uncharted territory with Japanese fan art and hoping that they'll get new people interested in their current runs and books and stuff.
Yeah, but it was enjoyable. It was. I'm definitely saying it was a killer, 100%, just for the content of the art alone.
I'm going to say it's a killer. Just
and is it definitely a one shot? Is it definitely a one shot?
Yeah, 100%. It's a one shot. Yeah, much to my disappointment, I could have just taken more and more of this. Yeah,
no, it would have been great. So yeah, that's a pretty in-depth start to the show. Enjoyable. What have we got now? Oh, hold on a minute.
Hold on a minute.
I've missed a segue. Yeah.
We need to change that to Tim's vegan bus.
We do. We need to change that to Tim's vegan bus. The Peugeot 308. Need to change it over. Right. So we got what, less than 3 weeks now? Is it 3 weeks? Less than 3 weeks?
Something like that, mate.
Give or take.
Looking forward to it. Thought bubble. Tom, who have you chosen this week, mate?
Oh, my main man, my love interest, my favourite person on the planet, Jack Lawrence. Oh. Yeah, Jan Mora, J. Scott Campbell, and Jack Lawrence. So Jack is actually a personal friend of mine. I'm going to show you some bits in a little bit that Jack did for me, which are absolutely phenomenal. But Jack Lawrence is a UK-based artist, and he's best known for his books on IDW, which have only been quite recently. I mean, Jack only became a comic book artist back in 2003. He was previously an animator, which is why his art style is very cartoony, very like animated, if you like. But it kind of fits well for characters that he's been involved in. Like he's done Sonic, he's done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, bits and pieces like that. But Jack's career actually started back in 2003 when he did his own comic, both written and drawn, called Dark and Veil. It lasted 10 issues, and it got critically acclaimed as one of the best standout indie books that year from British comics.
Wow.
And that's how he managed to get picked up. So then Dark and Veil, if you Google it, has got these awards and it's done really, really well. And then Jack got picked up from 2000 AD and he got asked to do a one shot for them, which is kind of like about one particular character called, I think, Sinister Dexter. I think that's how it's said. I think that's how you said, Sinister Dexter, something like that. So they basically brought him in to do one kind of story, come in and do the artwork for it because they really liked his style of this kind of animated look. They wanted to bring it into 2000 AD. So people, and I've read about this today, people who were reading the book were obviously expecting it because it's quite gritty.
Yeah.
2000 AD. And then suddenly it just changes to this kind of like almost Disney-esque animated pages. And people are like, what is this? What is going on? And apparently, although like some people emailed in and complained about the book, was like, what is this? What are you doing? A lot of people emailed in and said, look, can we have some more of this? Because this is quite a nice contrast halfway through the book. And it's then gone on, apparently, and been a bit of a thing, that there is a bit of a contrasting artwork in 2000 AD. I can't confirm because I don't read it.
Listen, there's one thing that you don't do is mess with a 2000 AD fan's artwork. They are very particular about how their characters are depicted. But there definitely has been a change in the artwork for 2000 AD. And again, I had no idea that Jack had done this cover.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, he didn't do the cover. It's just the interior for that one.
Or the interior, sorry, apologies.
No, not the cover, just the interior. Some of Jack's other notable work, which I haven't used in the slides, but just wanted to mention them. Jack worked on the UK version of the Action Man comic. Those of you who are from the US, Action Man is basically G.I. Joe, but one man, not a million people. He was just one man on his own, Action Man. So he did the original Action Man comics. He also, so he worked on that. He worked on the UK version of Spider-Man. He worked on the Judge Dredd comics. He worked for Cartoon Network doing their weekly comics that they had, and a lot of other mainly British comics at the time. But Jack's biggest break was when he was at a Comic-Con and he got to meet Todd McFarlane, who said he'd got a project that he thought Jack would be perfect for. Wow. And Jack then ended up working for Image on a comic book created by Mike Bullock, and it's called Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Now, for you horror people, you're not going to want to read it, basically. But basically, it's about the monsters in your closet coming out to attack children in the night and take them away. But your teddy bears and your stuffed animals protect you whilst you're asleep. And the main
it's based on a true story.
Based on my life, mate. So the main character, Joey, is the first child to basically see his animals come to life and his toys come to life and fight these monsters that come out of the closet. It's only a 4-issue run. Again, it was one of those comics that won awards. I can't remember what the company who gave it an award was, but it got given the Gem of the Year from Diamond. Of the year it was finally published. It's had 2 reprints since it came out, and it basically launched Jack into the stratosphere of American comics. So I don't know.
Cuddly toys.
And cuddly toys, yeah. I always wanted to get, basically, this is how I stumbled on Jack. I read Lions, Tigers, and Bears. I like the idea of, basically, it sounded like Toy Story to me, but with monsters in your closet. So I really wanted to read it, and I kind of fell in love with Jack's artwork because I like Disney. I like kind of that kind of childish artwork. And Jack's got some of the cleanest animation lines that I've ever seen. So I just kind of fell in love with his artwork. And then my kind of love affair with him started there and then, as it were. And I then started following him on Twitter, Instagram, badgering him for commissions and things. And then we became friends. But he's most notably known for his run on Lost Light, which is the second kind of chapter, if you like, the second story arc of the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye run, written by James Roberts, which is one of the best written Transformer comics runs that you will find outside of the originals that ever happened. People absolutely love this book because this book not only touches on kind of stuff that goes on in real life, like slavery, gender reassignment, kind of stuff like that. It's all in this book, and they come across lots of different characters. I mean, this is the first book that ever had a lot more than just one female bot. You had gay bots in it. You had bisexual bots in it. It was kind of touching on a lot of like real stuff. And there's one panel that Jack does where there's 2 bots that fall in love with each other, and there's no dialogue, and they don't have face plates. Like they don't have facial expressions, but the expressions he gets in those few panels, you're kind of like, oh mate, I think this just broke my heart slightly. So it's really clever how Jack can use his artwork to bring a story to life without dialogue. And that's kind of, what Jack's all about, if you like. But yeah, he did the Transformers Lost Light run from issue 1 to 25, and it ended in such an emotional way. Since then, Jack's done little bits and bobs. He might be notably known now at the moment for working on Sonic the Hedgehog, because his art style fits nicely with a game style character. And actually, I think he's come really into his own since he's worked on Sonic. Although he was a Transformers fan, I think going on to going on to Sonic, which is a bit more animated. He's managed to, really get his art style out there, which is actually been insane, if you like.
Just a quick question, Tom. So obviously, Jack started out as an animator, then he kind of went into art and stuff. From what I'm seeing over here, like I don't really massively know about Jack, and I'm looking to like speak to him at Thought Bubble and stuff like that. But from what I'm seeing, when he's closely worked with J. Scott Campbell, he's been taken under the umbrella of J. Scott, and his work seems to be going down that J. Scott Campbell Disney type of feel for the commission that he's done for your wedding, and then obviously for for the Sonic and stuff. It's very Disney-esque. Do you think that's how he wanted to be known and how he wanted to kind of get his foot in the door? If that makes sense.
So, mate. I don't know whether it's been influenced by J. Scott Campbell at all, but I know he's massively influenced from animation, because he writes and draws his own books and stuff for D&D, because he's a massive D&D kind of player. So he does all that kind of stuff. Like designs character bios. He actually does some animation, I think, for that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, mate, on the question on that one. But yeah, I think he's coming into his own a little bit, and he is very Disney-esque, if you get my drift, which is why his art style lends to more childish kind of books, if you think of Transformers and Sonic and those kind of things. I mean, I think he did My Little Pony at one point, and he's done my Teenage Ninja Turtles, so he's kind of lending himself to those cartoon characters. I don't know if he's just kind of, like an actor gets stereotyped. I don't know if he's been stereotyped or whether it's just that he enjoys it and wants to do those characters. I mean, that might be worth sitting down and having a pint and asking him at Thought Bubble. But I'm sure he will be joining us for a pint, because me and him will be together for quite a bit, I'm sure.
Okay, great. And then commissions?
Yeah, so before I get on to the commissions, I just want to say, guys, if you guys haven't read the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye Lost Light run, I would 100% recommend doing it. It is one of my favorite books ever written. There are a lot to read. There's about 50 issues, but you'd never look back. It's quality. It's one of those books where it takes a hashtag, like a rogue bunch of Transformers that you don't really care about, like ones you've never even heard of, throws them all onto a spaceship, throws it out into the space because the war is over between Autobots and Decepticons. So this story is about them traveling and kind of going to different worlds and meeting up ragtag bunches and getting into trouble and stuff. It's quite a good story, to be fair. And James Roberts does a great job of setting seeds in the first kind of story arc, in the first few issues, that don't come to fruition until the second story arc in the last few issues. So it's worth getting into that. Anyway, so my commissions I've got from Jack, I've got plenty of commissions from Jack, but the two most notable ones that I've got is Jack did the wedding invitation for my groomsmen, where he took me and my groomsmen and he drew them in his style, so I could do an invitation to invite my groomsmen to be a part of the wedding, which I got married this year. And then the other one is a 30th birthday present that Charlotte got for me, where Jack decided, or I said to Charlotte, like, there's about 10 Transformers I absolutely love, and I've not seen them on the Lost Light or in any comic for a little while. Do you think Jack could do it? And Charlotte was like, yeah, I'll speak to him. And then this turned up on my 30th birthday, and it's basically all my favorite Transformers rolled into one on one shot. In my favorite comic book homage, which is the Justice League of America issue 1, where they're all kind of stood in the middle with his arms crossed. He's like, just bring it. And as you can see, it's the same pose that's on my wedding invitation. Yeah. So you can see that I've got that kind of love for that homage, if you like. If you guys want to get a commission from Jack, if you head over to his Instagram, he's got a post where you can kind of comment and say, yeah, I would like a commission at Thought Bubble. He's very reasonably priced, and he will be selling his original artwork at Thought Bubble as well. But he's one of those artists that doesn't charge for his signature at all. So you can take anything you want to get signed by him, and he'll do it.
Oh, wicked.
So there you go. That is Jack Lawrence in a nutshell.
Nice. I'm looking forward to meeting him at Thought Bubble.
He also gives one of the best hugs I've ever had.
I'll have to take your word for that.
Mate, do it. Honestly,
he does look like a good hugger.
He is a good hugger. And he's a really, I tell you what, he's a really genuinely nice bloke. Like a really, really spot on dude.
Nice. Nice. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that. I'm very much looking forward to that. Great segment. So up now we have the killer picks. Now there was a bit of confusion at the start of the show. We went from one of us picking a killer pick to two of them picking a killer pick, and then all three of us picking a killer pick. So
Perfect.
at 54 minutes, we are at the killer pick indie pick. Is that correct, Andy?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Yeah, I sneaked this into the show because I found it when I was looking at FOC and all the books that were coming out. And this is, and I thought that people should know about it. So this is Damn Them All, issue number 1. This has been released by Boom Studios, and it's written by Simon Spurrier and artwork by Charlie Adlard, who you may recall done a lot of the Walking Dead stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at this. I think this is out next week. This is at 26th of October. And the thing that sort of caught my eye was that cover on the left-hand side. It's very, very much Charlie Adlard. And the one on the right, I think, is a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. And Bill Sienkiewicz normally doesn't do a huge amount of covers unless the book and the story is really good. So the synopsis reads for this one: in this new dark supernatural thriller for fans of We Have Demons and Something is Killing the Children, meet Ellie, Bloody Elle Hawthorne, a cultist for hire. Following the death of Ellie's uncle, an infamous magician and occult detective, the 72 devils of the Arscotia,
The what?
yeah,
The Arscotia?
are mysteriously freed from their internal realm. It's now up to Ellie to track down each of these exiled demons and damn them right back to hell by any means necessary. Holy water, conjuration, or just her trusty, rusty claw hammer. And I just think that sounds right up my street, and it will definitely be something I'll be checking out. So, if you weren't aware of this, guys, this is something that's going to come out next week, and definitely one that I think I might be picking as my pick of the week for the following week to read.
Yeah, that
It's
sounds
definitely
awesome.
quite far away from lions, tigers, and bears.
A little bit, yeah. It's a little bit. I just love that Bill Sienkiewicz cover, and I think it's actually a foil cover. So I think the red blood and the hammer and the white background is in silver foil and red foil. So I don't know if it's. I'm assuming it's going to be like a 1 in 25 or a 1 in 50, but I just love it. I love everything about Bill Sienkiewicz's work. So yeah, go check that out if that's something that tickles your fancy.
I think that looks
very cool, man.
And it does. It does look very. The left-hand side does look very Walking Dead.
Yeah, 100%.
It does look wicked. So yeah,
it actually looks a little bit like you, Charlie, with a hammer.
Not quite.
That's
sure
a scary
about
that. I actually have to be honest, Andy. When you were reading it and you got to the bit where he's like XL demons, I had to stop because I was reading. I was reading comments and I suddenly thought I heard you say XL demons. I was like, sorry, are we talking about Excel spreadsheets or something? I've got some XL demons.
That's what pissed him off this week was his XL demons.
His XL demon.
That's what it was.
Something like that.
So yeah, but this was a comment in the chat, wasn't it, Andy, from the show last week, saying everyone loved the show, they loved the new format of it and stuff like that. But I can't remember who it was, but said that they missed the indie pick.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was great to get that feedback as well, and that's what we would ask everybody is like if there's things that you want to see in the show, or there's things that you don't want to see in the show. We'll take all the feedback, positive and negative. Whenever I've seen that,
back. No way.
Well, apart from Killer Keys, hashtag Killer Keys, RIP.
Hashtag RIP.
So when I've seen that comment, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a look at the indies and see what's there, and this took my fancy. So yeah, I don't know if we'll do it every single week. I'm more than happy to pick a killer indie every week, because that's my go-to. But it's all time. Like, we don't want the show to keep going and going and going for hours and hours, which we probably will again this week.
Go for it. So then up next, Tom, it was you.
Yeah, so like I thought I'd pick something different this week. So basically, I've really started going back through my comic collection because I've decided to sell most of it to fuel my J. Scott Campbell habit because it's expensive and I need the very rare ones now. So basically, I went through my comic collection, opened a few boxes, and this is kind of why I get that you put them in a box for a rainy day. because you go back to it, you open the box up and you find Spawn issue 1 and the full run, like from issue 1 to issue, I think it's like 125 I've got to. And it's like, okay, do you know what? I'm going to read this because I enjoyed reading it the first time round. So I'm going to read it again, which then brought me to wanting to share with you guys, because you can go out and buy this now. I think you should go out and buy the first compendium of Spawn. It collects issue 1 to issue 50 in one nice hardback. It's a reasonable price of $60, which is probably about 57, 58 quid. So it's worth it, because this is a 90s icon, if you like. This is like Todd McFarlane paved the way for pretty much all indie comic books that came after it. And Spawn is that kind of beacon of light that started the whole thing. And if you haven't read Spawn, I would recommend you read the first 50 issues by going and getting the compendium, because he's awesome. You fall in love with the character. You get to know about him straight off the bat. Those of you who don't know anything about Spawn, basically, Spawn is a character called Al Sims, who is a ex-military character who becomes a gun for hire. He then goes off and gets betrayed and killed. And he then decides to make a deal with the devil to become a Hellspawn and lead his army so he can go back to his family. But the devil completely screws him over and sends him back 10 years later, and sends him back barely human and with all these abilities and things that he can't control. So it's about his story and kind of how he becomes who he is. But he's not a hero. He's an anti-hero. So a lot of the stuff he does is really controversial. But it's one of those stories that were written by Todd McFarlane. You get artists like Frank Miller and Alan Moore and Greg Capullo all join Todd through this amazing kind of era that was the 90s of Spawn. And it kind of is like a go-to. If you haven't read it, it's a stable part of comic book history. Totally would recommend it. That's why I've picked it this week. Although I'm not reading the compendium, I'm reading all my original issues. So that's why I wanted to bring it to the table and be like, look, I think you guys should pick it up and read it. That's why it's my pick this week.
Nice. Do you know what? I just never got into Spawn. I think the one we reviewed on the show once, I think it was the Gunslinger issue number 1. And it was so all over the place. I enjoyed parts of it, but I just didn't. I've never Spawn as a character. I've never got into. I've just never.
Spawn is the reason that I read comics.
Yeah, agreed. Same, exactly the same reason I read comics is because of Spawn.
Yeah.
And I'm just clearly not on your level, guys. Clearly not on your intellectual comic book reading level. So.
I wouldn't say that, mate. It's just one of those things. It was a stable book that came out, and like anyone who was anyone at the time read Spawn. It depended when you joined comic books. If you joined beforehand or after, you might not have read Spawn.
Yeah, look, the feedback is great. Like Wakazashi's Tea House, who we haven't seen in ages. Welcome, sir. Hope you're Genki. Spawn, glorious covers. We've got Zan. He's joined us. He said, "Oh, I'm definitely buying that." And he has also said, "It's the reason I got into comics too." And Connie is with me.
Yeah,
I've never read Spawn, but I've read it once. It was all right, but I probably wouldn't read it again. I'm not going to read the Spawn Compendium Volume number 1. Let me.
Mate, it's worth it. Honestly, you'll never regret it if you do.
Read the first 5 or 10 issues.
Yeah,
okay.
And then see how you get on.
All right, cool. I'll take you up on that then.
I think it's issue 10. Actually isn't written by Todd McFarlane, or actually even isn't in the Spawn universe. It's a completely random comic, but then actually makes sense much later on.
Oh, there we go. Look, Marcus said, I had Spawn on my pull list from 1 to 80, then the kids arrived. So kids change everything. So you might, if you was in the start of the show, you would have seen that this was one of my pickups. Heroes Volume number 1 and Heroes Volume number 2. It's not written by Simon Spielberg, and it's not art by Charlie Adlard. I basically just got lazy and copied Andy's slides. It is actually written by various artists. It is written. The art is by Tim Sale. The introduction is by Massi Okra, and it's produced by Joseph Leb. We've got Aaron Collette and Joe Bokansky, and he's also got these books as well. There we go. Look, great minds think alike. And what I didn't know is that this was created. Wildstorm was created by Jim Lee way back when, and then it went under the publication of the old school DC Comics, and it was sold in, I think it was in 2010 or 2000. 2011. It was sold, and then it went into administration, and Wildstorm Comics is no more. But this, I picked this up. I've started reading it again. It's fantastic. It was an amazing TV show, and the comic books are fantastic. Like the hardback, Andy would be able to say it's really good, really, really good. So if you haven't read this, you haven't watched the TV show, I'd jump into it. It's great.
Yeah, I picked these up when the first and second season of the shows were out. But what I loved was the original comics, like the actual flop comics you could get, because they had fantastic covers like that.
Alex Ross, isn't it? Alex Ross did a lot of the covers. Alex Ross did a lot of the colours.
Yeah.
I mean, Night Wonders.
Tim Sale.
Tim Sale
done.
Yeah.
There's a Tim Sale cover there.
Yeah.
So these are absolutely fantastic. If you can find some of those single issues, go for quite a bit on eBay now. They're quite sought after. But this is for me, season 1 of this was absolutely spectacular. I was all in. Season 3 and 4, no. It was pretty poor.
No. Season 1 and 2 of these TV shows, when it was on BBC 2 at 9 o'clock on a Sunday.
Come on.
Right, that was when it was, and then when it kind of got taken over, and then we see like the carnies and everything, it kind of lost interest for me and stuff. I kind of liked Hero.
Season 2 that's the shortest season in history of any TV show at the time because of the writers' strike.
That's right. Yeah,
they should have stopped it then, because at that point they had such a rich universe and they had so many places they could have gone with it. But when they came back and came in with season 3, it kind of was like, what the hell is this all about? Why is Peter Petrelli's dad now someone completely different? What's this all about?
Yeah.
Where's Hero?
His brother Nathan and everything like that. But yeah, this is where I've gone back old school. This was released in 2003. So I went old school because I think this is a killer pick and I think it's worth reading.
Agreed. So, I'll totally agree with you on that one, mate.
Nice one.
Agreed.
So up next, we've got the Killer Comic Show news or hashtag topic table or whatever you want to call it. This is the news section. Absolutely quality time last week. So Tom, this was your pick this week. But before we do that, just a little plug. We've got the Killer Comic Show podcast every Friday on Spotify, Deezer and iTunes. From Friday, if you'd like to listen to our dulcet tones while you're trying to work or concentrate on something else, why not just tune in? If you've missed the rewind, if you just want to hear us, tune in, Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, type in the Killer Comic Show, and you should be able to find this episode and last week's episode as well. So yeah, I know there was a bit of umming and ahhing about like the links weren't working and stuff like that, but I think it's because it takes a while for it to upload into the system and stuff like that. So by the time we upload it tonight, by the time you log on tomorrow, you should be able to hear it no matter what time that is. Now,
awesome.
Thomas, over to you, sir.
Charles. So yeah, I mean, it's not really a news per se, but they've announced that Gargoyles is getting a brand new comic book in December, which is coming out via Dynamite, written by Greg Wiseman and artwork by George Kazbandish. I kind of thought, yeah, this is cool. I like the idea that they're going to bring out Gargoyles. I like that it's not written by Marvel, which is cool. And I like that it's not a Marvel book. So they might just kind of make something out of it. My only concern is they're going to just hash out all the TV series episodes as comics, which is what they did when the Star Wars comics is basically the film with added little extra bits. So that was my concern, but it did make me start thinking, right? So I was massively into Saturday morning cartoons. I was hugely into Saturday morning TV series and books that weren't necessarily comic books. So I wanted to ask the question. I wanted to bring the topic to the table to you guys and ask you, what Saturday morning cartoon or TV show or book would you like to see them redo, either as a TV show or a comic book? I mean, they've recently done 2 series of He-Man running at the same time on Netflix, which makes complete no sense whatsoever. But what would you guys like to see come back?
I'm going to go straight off the bat with this, if you don't mind, Danny. I'm going to go with Jim Henson's Fraggle Rock.
Yes, nice.
I absolutely loved Fraggle Rock. I loved the whole setup of it. Is that there's a guy with a dog in his workshop, and then underneath the floorboards, there's a whole little community of Fraggles.
Fraggles.
And it was just so awesome. It was so different. I mean, it was so different to what was out at that time. I mean, this was like, I was born in 1985, and I think this came out around like 1983, 1982. So I was already like 2 or 3 when it came out, and this was one of my first TV shows that I kind of engaged and got into. And obviously, like, you had your Thundercats, you had your He-Man, you had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. But Fraggle Rock, I could kind of relate to as a kid, because I had toys that were like battered and stuff like that, and teddies and battered and stuff like that looked like that. And the whole concept of it is that they lived unknown under the floorboards and stuff. It was amazing. I'd love to see how they would do that now. I'd
Yeah.
really, really be interested. And I've never seen, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy and Tom, you're like the comic book connoisseurs that you kind of know loads of shit about. But has there ever been a Fraggle Rock comic?
Yes.
There has.
I was just going to say, is it a bit like a British annual rather than a comic book?
Nope, it's an American comic book. I have one somewhere in there.
I would love to like get hold of that, like, because that is like, honestly, when I looked at this poster here, like, that brings back childhood memories. You've got Transformers, you've got Thundercats, you've got He-Man, you've got everything there. For me, Fraggle Rock and Rugrats, stuff like that is what I would love to see back again. And I think, like, I tried showing my kids, I tell you, the Animaniacs the other day.
Oh, mate, do you know what? Animaniacs was a go-to for me.
Right.
I actually really enjoyed Animaniacs.
And I put it on, and I was like, "What's this? What is this?" And I was like, "It's the Animaniac." No, put back on like Steve and Maggie or something, or whether they're watching Jesse. So no, come, like, this is what I grew up with, and it just goes to show how times are changing and how everything's being moved on. Like, I mean, you look at Postman Pat now; he effectively works for UPS.
Yeah, basically, well, he's not working for Royal Mail, otherwise he'd be on strike.
You've got Bob the Builder that basically works in IKEA now. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But I would like to go back to Fraggle Rock, them living underneath, like seeing what it's like and stuff like that. I mean, like, for me, who was it? You had Gobo Fraggle,
Yeah.
Fraggle, and Booba. Booba, they were my 2 favourite ones. Booba and Gobo Fraggle. They were wicked. Like, I just loved it. So then when you put this on the topic table, I was like, get in, Tom. This is absolutely fantastic pick. So thanks for picking that, mate.
That's fine, mate. I just thought it'd be it's a cool topic to talk about, because a lot of the stuff that we grew up with in the 90s,
Mhm.
well, late 80s, early 90s,
Yeah.
are no longer about, and they're all nostalgic. And so like, your kids and my future kids won't know what they are. So it's like they're bringing back Gargoyles, which was about when I was a kid. It's like, okay, what else could they bring back? I mean, it's kind of like, what would I like to see? I mean, I'd like to see them do Biker Mice from Mars.
Yes.
I mean, I love the concept of Biker Mice from Mars. I mean, they're from a completely different planet, but yet they can ride motorcycles. And Modo had a metal arm. Like, I'd love to see them do a comic book of that, like, going forward, and kind of do it in a different way and redesign the characters. Like, I could just see some more elaborate designs coming forward, and I just want to see what characters they would create out of it, and whether they elaborate a little bit more. Like, you'd go to their home planet and you'd see more Biker Mice. I'd love that.
And look what Dino's just put. Apple TV brought it back earlier this year. I'm really
nice.
That's
all the Fraggle.
Is it? Dan, could you just confirm if that was Fraggle Rock or was it Biker Mice from Mars? But yeah, I would like to know. One question I have: I would love to know how old the oldest Fraggle is now. The world's oldest Fraggle is now.
I don't know. We should look into it. We should Google it.
But this is a good topic, Tom. This is a good topic. Andy, what about you, mate? What would you have gone for?
This was the easiest one for me. Straight off the bat, probably people who have watched a few shows before could guess. Mask.
Yes. Yeah.
Was
they did try to do Mask as a comic book IDW, and it just didn't work.
Listen, it was 75 episodes of pure gold. There was 65 episodes in season 1, and then 10 episodes in season 2.
It was Fraggle Rock. Get in.
Yes.
Oh,
get Apple
wicked.
TV, mate.
Get in.
Sorry, go on, Andy.
No worries. So yeah, Mask would be my go-to. It was the show that I watched all the time when I was a kid. I remember when I was 5, I got a little Mask digital watch, which I absolutely adored. And it's one of those things you think back, where did that go? What did I do with that? I would love to be able to go on eBay and go and buy one. But I was actually looking for the Fraggle Rock comic, but I couldn't find it. But I actually found a bunch of TV show comics that I thought. So I found a Mask one here, and then see if you remember some of these. The Visionaries.
The Visionaries would have been my pick, actually, if I hadn't thought about the Biker Mice from Mars, because like I had all the Biker Mice from Mars toys, and
those Visionaries figures go for an absolute fortune. And do you remember the little staffs that they had? And it had the little.
What a concept! That they were way before their time, having the hologram on the chest, and then you could buy like the lion that would go with, what was his name, Leoric with his lion, and mate.
Captain Planet.
Captain Planet, yes.
Captain Planet, that was awesome, man. Obviously, you've seen this one before, the Flintstones. Another fantastic watch on a Saturday morning. Defenders of the Earth. Do you remember these bad boys?
Yeah.
What was the name of the purple guy? Because he actually had his own series, didn't he? It's
the Phantom.
Phantom, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, the Phantom. Another one that I absolutely adored as well. Sectors, Warriors of Symbion.
No, I don't remember them.
So I think this was more of an American one. Maybe the chat can keep me right here, but that's another, because I'm a little bit like you, Tom. I'm trying to collect a lot of the TV shows, like the pure nostalgia. And then this was probably my second favorite next to Mask. I adored this. This is pure nostalgia for me. The Centurions.
Oh, mate, the Centurions. What a concept that was. Like, I mean, whoever invented that really knew what they were doing for the toy line afterwards, because you bought the main character, then you'd buy all the accessories that bolted on. It's basically Lego, but not Lego.
Yeah.
I had this guy in an action figure, and I think it got lost in the great move of 1983, I think. So if anybody has this, I don't care if it's loose or if it's been chewed up by your dog and they want to part ways with it, please slip into my DMs, because I am looking for a little bit of nostalgia. I would love to have this figure back. So I just saw those and I thought I would show them off. And
that's wicked.
That's cool, man.
This is a conversation that's really like you've got it going. Like another one is Banana Man. I would love to see Man back.
Banana Man. But you couldn't get away with half the stuff.
This is the thing. No, you couldn't.
Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget. I mean, the one that was mentioned earlier in the chat, I can't remember, was it Mark Oyward who said it? Captain Pugwash. Yes, I would love to see a Captain Pugwash comic book. That'd be amazing.
Also, James Copley said DuckTales. Whatever happened to DuckTales?
Yes,
DuckTales was amazing. There's so many. Like, there's so much. Do you know what would be really, really interesting? It'd be great. I'm just going to let Tom just.
Sorry, go on.
The Chippendales, remember?
Chippendale? That's something completely different, actually, Andy.
Oh, mate, I love it.
It's Chip and Dale.
The Chippendales. The Chippendales are something completely different that you don't talk about.
The Gummy Bears. Did anybody else watch the Disney show, The Gummy Bears? Oh, come on, man.
What about the Care Bears?
Care Bears, yeah.
Care Bears.
The Care Bears. The Care Bears.
The Muppet Babies. Oh.
But yeah, that was good. I mean, yeah, Thomas, great topic. Awesome topic, mate.
Really man. Like I said, it was not exactly news, but it's nice to kind of bring something to the topic table to chat about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that was great. Enjoyed that.
Was awesome. That was
a little trip down memory lane.
It was. So we are at now the Killer Comic Show sneak peek for next week. So this is where we will show you the 4 comics that we are potentially going to be, 2 of them we're potentially going to be reading next week. So up first, we have Batman, One Bad Day. This is Penguin issue number 1. We've got Deceased, War of the World. Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse.
That's something completely different these days as well, isn't it?
Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse is actually, I think that's been out. I think it's on Disney or one of them because my kids watch that. Yeah. But it's not as good as it used to be. Deceased War of the Undead Gods, issue number 3. We've got the Silver Coin, issue number 15, still going strong. And Rhodes, issue number 4. So these 4 comics will go live on YouTube tomorrow. You can place your votes and see what 2 of them we will review next week. There we go. We are at the business end now. Let's head over to YouTube. You can use my column, I'm not using it. And see who wins cover of the week. So in 3rd position, it's me with 13%. With my unfinished, with my unfinished Sousa Micah cover. In 2nd place, we've got Tom with your Batwoman cover at 40%, and Andy is at 1st place with his Mr. Pingu comic cover at 47%. So well done, Andy. You've ran away with it this week, mate.
Pinky in the Brain. That's a lot of cracker.
Whilst we're on the subject of Pinky in the Brain, right? Google this in a minute or go on YouTube in a minute because no one ever remembers it, but I do. There's one episode where they do Pinky and the Brain and Larry. And the song goes, it's Pinky and the Brain and Larry. Pinky and the Brain and Larry. It's hilarious, but nobody remembers it. But YouTube it because it's a thing.
Okay.
Is it safe? Is it safe for work to Google?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Right. We will Google that. So just to finish off before we do know, Andy, Tom, do you want to take the slide away? One of you.
You're absolutely right, Tom. There is a Pinky Brain and Larry opening.
Yeah, I know, mate. Yes, I remember distinctly.
Yes. You can go and check us out on Instagram and stuff like that. So yeah, do all that and hit thumbs up and subscribe. And anybody that was in the chat, if they have socials, make sure you go and follow them.
Yeah, and make sure you go back and check out Jack's Instagram and Twitter as well if you want to talk to him about Thought Bubble or get a commission.
Bosh.
Boom. Job done.
Another week down. As mentioned, you can check us over on the replay on YouTube, or you can head over to Instagram. Check us out there, and you can also head over to Spotify, Deezer, and iTunes, and you can listen to our dulcet tones while you're trying to do anything but work on a Friday. And let us know what your favourite TV show was and what you would love to bring back. Guys, it's been fantastic again. I'm just going to ignore Tom. I'm just going to ignore him.
It's so annoying.
Sorry.
Yeah. Charlie looks for anybody that's listening on Deezer or Spotify or the other things that you can listen to us on. Charlie looks as if he's about to explode right now. He's got that sort of he's picked up aggression. He's just going to go rah. It's okay, Charlie. Deep breaths.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's not your fault. You only get 13% on the.
I know. It's not right. But lads, yeah, that's another Thursday. We've got 3 weeks till Thought Bubble. I think 3 weeks. Really looking forward to that. It's another showdown. Looking forward to seeing you all next week. Hopefully, you guys have got some pickups. Who knows? Hopefully the postal strike is back on and Andy can pick up his 652 comics that he normally picks up a week from eBay. So yeah.
Don't be jealous, Charlie. You just stick to your charity shop finds. And it should be a segment. Charlie's
they're pretty cool.
Charity shop finds.
I'm loving them, to be fair. So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. Right, anyway, guys. Anyway, have a nice weekend, everyone in the chat. And what do we normally say, Tom?
Stay safe. It's a trap. Stay safe. Stay safe.